And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. We got Cody Stavenhagen, we got Austin Jackson, and we got a lot to talk about if our pre-show meeting was any indication. How's it going, fellas? What's up?
Good,
Hey,
man.
I'm doing
Good.
doing good. Yeah, glad to have Ajax. Haven't had Ajax here on in a second. Glad to have our man back in here.
Yes, sir. I'm here live in the flesh, baby. Let's get it.
Let's get to it. Well, we are recording this on, I guess for Cody and the rest of the Tigers, especially, and Tigers fans, kind of like a breathing day. No game today. A little bit of a reprieve, but it gives us a chance, Cody, for the first time in a while, to just kind of reflect and look at like this team from a clear lens, not just reacting to a game or trying to talk about something that might be out of date because it happened in the previous game or whatever. We are front and center right now, as is kind of the city of Detroit, Cody. Now the baseball team's good, and we'll get to that in a second. But NFL draft is later tonight, and the Pistons I'm taking over downtown with their first home playoff game since 2019, trying to win. Here's a stat: trying to win a playoff game in Detroit for the first time since 1976, like downtown Detroit, back when they played at the Cabo.
Although,
So yeah. So what's this? We do team vibes, Cody, but like what's the sports city vibe going on right now?
it's kind of funny to think about because we started the Athletic in Detroit, and well, I joined in 2018. I think it had started 2017 ish. And we at the time we had hired a lot of young writers, and the thought was, we can have these guys kind of grow with the teams, and once the teams are good, the coverage will be good. And the teams were all awful for the first like 4 or 5 years. I guess the Pistons were okay, but they were just stuck in mediocrity. The
Right.
Lions were a joke. The Red Wings were rebuilding. The Tigers were a joke and going through a rebuild that didn't exactly work as planned right away. So to see where it is now, where the Lions were maybe the coolest story in the NFL, or the Tigers were one of the biggest stories in baseball last fall and are now continuing to assert themselves as for real. Now, where the Pistons were one of the best stories in the NBA. Sorry, Red Wings. I don't know what's going on with Stevie Y over there across the street. But this city and the teams have come a long way, really, in a short period of time. It kind of happened all at once, and I'd always been told, like, just wait until you see what Detroit's like when the teams are winning. Well, I've been able to see that. The draft last year, you were up there for that, Kieran, how great that was. And the synergy between the teams is kind of unique. I guess some of that happens, when you have the same ownership for two of the teams, but the way all the teams support each other, I'm not sure you see maybe to this degree in every market. So a bunch of Tigers are going to be at the Pistons game Thursday night. They seemed really excited about it. They were watching the game in the clubhouse Monday. Yeah, good time to be following sports in this city, no doubt.
Yeah, good
And
time.
also, too, how many teams that you can just walk right over to the stadium
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool. That's how you know everybody is together in that town, man. I mean, you can literally leave a baseball game and walk right over to the football stadium. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, we can debate the merits of like publicly financing stadiums. We'll save that for a different podcast. I don't love it, but I do like having all the stadiums downtown. Go somewhere like Milwaukee where I'm having to take an Uber out to the field, and like
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I have done that before, Austin. I've done the football to a basketball game
See
walk
what
right
I'm
afterward.
saying? You see what I mean?
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. Cody, you know what else was pretty great yesterday? I think it actually merits a couple minutes here. Reese Olson was pretty dang good. Pretty dang good on Tuesday. Oh, made it into the eighth inning. Only allowed 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. I'm getting random texts from Ranger fans being like, "Who is this guy?" Or the ones that know ball, they're like, "Man, I really like this guy." The changeup was working for him. I feel like that was kind of the Reese Olson that we had been like waiting to kind of brag about because of like we hold him in that high of esteem. And not to mention it's the Padres, damn good baseball team, and the fact that that was a rubber match. Couldn't imagine anything better for our boy Reese.
Yeah, I keep trying to tell everybody, Reese Olson is so underrated. Reese Olson can be really good. We didn't see it his first few starts. He's a guy who has to be commanding, who has to be kind of painting that X across the strike zone, and he did that. Or really more specifically, he was just living on the bottom rail, change-ups and sliders all day, but the command was more the command we are used to seeing. He was spinning the ball like crazy. I think it was, maybe the best I've ever seen. The changeup, which can be a really good pitch. The slider was there too. And although the Padres are a good team, they did come into town a little banged up. And I think especially against Reese, they had a really aggressive approach. But they were kind of flailing and casting the bats, and they made a little bit of hard contact, but in a way, they kind of helped Reese out too, and he was able to adapt and take advantage of that aggressive approach, get some quick outs, roll into the sixth and seventh inning with a low pitch count.
And he's like super deceptive too. Like he's a guy, like I hated facing guys like that because it's like that. He has a little hitch in his delivery. And it's like you're trying to time that up and then boom, like the ball kind of explodes on you a little bit. And it's like coming out of that same window. Like every pitch he's throwing is like coming out of this window, but you're still kind of caught up on the windup, like trying to time that up. And like he's a guy, like when he's on, you got to tip your hat because like you said, he's living at the bottom of the zone. Everything is coming in looking the same. So you're really not picking him up. This guy he's nasty. He's not a fun guy, I'm telling you, to face when you're not really feeling comfortable. And then he comes in, you're like, oh gosh, here we go. Here you got this little funky hitch in there, and it's just like you think he's a guy that you should be able to barrel up. And like you said, they hit him hard a couple of times, but it was nothing that they could really do to really cause any damage off of.
Austin, one thing I think we're starting to see a little bit more of across the league is like the return of shorter or smaller pitchers. Some of these guys are giants, right? And they stride way down the mound, and the extension is crazy. But I think they're figuring out like the arm slot from a shorter guy. Reese barely strides. I think it probably just comes out from like a funky pocket. Was there ever a guy you faced who was like a little bit smaller, but like just really deceptive?
Alex Cobb. That's who it kind of reminds me of a little bit. Like it's something about that delivery. Like it kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit. And like you said, it wasn't like a big stride. It was like he would take his step and he would just put his foot down, and then the ball would just kind of come out of nowhere. Guys like that, they were just tough because the timing of it is hitting is all about timing. So when a guy is messing up your timing like that, when they got that short arm slot, the ball kind of gets on you and everything looks the same. Everything looks the same until it gets to the plate. And then you're scratching your head, going back to the dugout. Like, I don't understand why I'm not seeing this ball. And it's all in the delivery. It's just super deceptive.
I did have, specific to Tuesday's game and some of the stuff that Austin was saying about Reese. I am a little curious, like with it being the day game after a couple night games, Austin, like when you got a guy it doesn't necessarily have to be the same, pitcher characteristics that Reese was showing, but just like any guy who's dialed in, starting on the mound, like right away you figure out he's dialed in. It's like you played 2 nights ago and you played last night. And now it's the get out game. It's the rubber match or whatever. Mentally, what is that like when it's like, you get less sleep, your routine is compressed, especially the Tigers specifically, like all of these games that they have been playing. But like going into it in a game in a situation like that where you're like you might not be awake the previous like 24 hours earlier, but now you're going up against a guy who's got you on pins and needles. Like, what's that like?
Well, a lot of it, I feel like it's you don't really focus. Obviously, everybody's tired. Everybody's dealing with the same amount of sleep or lack of thereof. But to me, it's more of the day game is more about how quick can you get the motors spinning. If you go out there expecting to just kind of play the same game or keep that same pace that you had on a night game when you had plenty of rest, when you've had all your warm-ups, you got to go in the cold tub, the hot tub, you got to eat, and you got to sit back and relax and watch your favorite TV show as opposed to a day game. Hey, you're jumping right up. You're heading probably to the cage. You're trying to get your warm-up in. You're trying to eat. You try to do all that things. And then you got to go out there and face a guy like Reese. And it's not fun. It's something where for me, I had to do a lot of my studying the night before. After the game, I had to go in there and study this guy. I had to watch his day games, watch how he pitched the opposing team in those day games, watch the bad swings, watch the good swings. And I tried to, just pick up any information I could from his previous game, or like I said, his day games, because that's where you're going to get all your information from. A lot of these pitchers, they might be different from game to game. So for me, it was about doing a lot of that studying before the night before. That way, when I got up in the morning and, did my normal routine, got all my eating in, try to get my lift in, it was about, okay, how can I stick to that plan that I was, trying to get the day before and go out and apply that to the game.
Oh, very interesting. I mean, it's one of those things that like maybe kind of gets lost over the course of a season, just like watching the game, just how much that just like changes things, and that's one of the advantages I think. I'm saying this. I have no idea, Cody, what their record is in day games, but like when you got a starting five like the Tigers do, I feel like that'd be an advantage on any day, especially when there's, again, a compressed timeline there. So maybe just a little nugget that we can file away for later and see if there's any merit to that hypothesis specific to this team. We're gonna get to some RT about the Tigers and like what we really think about them. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Take me out to my TV, a FanDuel Sports Network. Yeah. Watch me some dingers and RBIs. I'm just glad they have my local team live for its root for the Tigers on FanDuel Sports Network. Tigers games, announcers, and more Tigers games that I mentioned. They have the Tigers. Stream now.
The Tigers, Kieran, are 8-6 in day games, so nothing crazy. Where it's really been is at Comerica Park, where they're 9-3. For whatever reason, they've been money at home so far this year.
Well, yeah, they have been absolutely money. That's a 10-3 overall record, I believe, at home, and that kind of leads me to like a little bit of a thought exercise. I think on a Thursday, Cody and Austin, is that I was thinking about like, the whole like gritty Tigers thing that was like the mantra last year. And that was cool because, never say die attitude and like all these kind of fun things. But it's like, is that kind of stuff like sustainable? No, and eventually you got to have like some dogs, like you got to have some players and you got to like actually stack wins and you got to be certain level of dominant to be one of these like actual good teams. That doesn't mean you get rid of the whole like gritty, mantra altogether, but like that, you got to move on from that a little bit. And so I think, actually, I know what I'm going to say. I know as of now, as we're 25 games into the season, that they are like actually like a dog team. Like they are a good team. There are so many numbers that it's like, no, they're like one of the American League leaders teams. Like, well, let's just go by record. What's the record? 15-10. Is that number one? Yes, it is. Tie with the New York Yankees. What's their run differential? It's plus 30. Is that number one? No, it's not. It's one behind the Yankees, who are plus 31. All right. And then you just look at I could just read off a million stats, but their starting pitching is like top 2 or 3 or 4 in basically every standard category in the American League. Their hitting is among the tops in the American League in various categories. And they are without their number 1 center fielder, their number 2 center fielder, their number 3 center fielder, their number 1 third baseman. That's 2 of the same people there, but that's okay. And Riley Green has not had a near season to his caliber so far. Colt Keith obviously has not had a sophomore surge to this point. There's obviously positives. So I'm not just trying to say like, oh, everything's negative, yet they're still good. They have had a lot of great production from guys, Torkelson, McKinstry, Baez at times, of course. But like, The point is, I just think they're actually like a good team, like actually like good, like top among the top of the conversation in the American League are the Detroit Tigers. 25 games in, I'm comfortable saying that.
I don't think it's a bad thing though. The gritty Tigers, man. I kind of like that. That sounds I like that, but I don't think you go away from who you are. You know what I mean? Like what got you there, right? Like don't try to start being something that you're not. This is the team that they have that grit. Like I think that is part of the DNA of this team. I think that is what's going to carry them through in those tough months, those hot days. Like, hey, who wants it more? Who's going to come out here and grind the at bats? What pitcher is going to come up here and is going to, hey, here's my stuff. Let's get it. Like that's the type of team that I see this team being, and I don't really think that they need to go away from it because it's worked. Like I'm not messing with nothing if it works. If we gritty, we gritty. I don't care if we win. And they've been able to stick with some of the best teams in the league right now. Like if you watch some of the games that they've lost, I mean, they're right there in the games because they have that grit. That's what they're going to need to push them past some of those good teams is that grittiness. They don't have this, LA Dodgers type lineup to where, you got guys at 1 through 9 that can come up and, cause some damage. But they have the type of team, I think, that can manufacture runs, get walks, get guys over the second, hit behind the runner. That's the type of team that's scary come late in the season, especially playoffs. If they establish that and keep that DNA, it works. It works. It works every time. I remember when we played against the Giants in the World Series. I mean, on paper, yeah, like we were the LA Dodgers, but they did the small things, and that's why we got swept. Really, like they played the game the way it was supposed to be played, and we were relying on Miguel Cabrera to hit that 3-run home run and Prince to come up and hit that 3-run homer, and we just didn't play that type of the type of baseball at that time to win the game. And so I like it, man. I think they stay with it because it works. And I mean, look, if these guys go out and try to be something they're not, nobody's gonna like. That's not what got those guys there. That's not why they're where they are right now. It's because they still carried that same like, oh, y'all don't believe in us. Y'all don't think that we like they're playing with like a sense of urgency. And I like to see that. I like to see when they go out there. It's like everybody has a plan when they step up to the plate. The pitchers are like, let's go. I like that. I love that grit from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are onto something. That's what continues to impress me. Like, there were times last year we kind of joked about, like, oh, the grit and the culture, because every team thinks it's gritty and every team thinks it has a good culture. But, like, there is a little bit more science to what they are doing than that. They are built to thrive in that play style. We know how often they chase matchups. So when you see someone come off the bench, it's not just them being gritty, it's them gaining a mathematical edge on their opponent. The things they're doing pitching wise, I think would go over most of our heads, like from what's happening upstairs with the analyst down to the pitching coaches like Chris Fatter, and then translating it to the player. I think they've gotten really advanced in some of the stuff they're doing that I'm not even going to try to explain right now. And you put all that together, like we've talked about, the quality of at bat is just light years better than it was 2 years ago. Up and down the order, seeing more pitches in the first inning of games than anyone in the American League. They take their walks now. The strikeout rate is a bit high, but like they're making pitchers work. They reminded me of like the Rays teams from 2-3 years ago where they just don't give you anything. Like if you're going to beat the Tigers, you're going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
And we've now seen them do this the last 2 months of last year, the first 25 games of this season. We've seen it long enough that it's not an anomaly by any means.
Yeah, like the way, like I 100% agree with like what Austin was going there. The way, like the analogy that I would run is that, like, we'll give credit to the Dan Campbell Lions for kind of like bringing grit into like just everyday conversation for the city, front center like he did, and continues to do because they don't change. But at the same time, Penei Sewell goes from being a talented young player to one of the best right tackles in football. St. Brown goes from being a talented young player to being one of the best receivers in football. So it's like they're still they still have grit, but they also like the players developed into being like just like good players, not just like tryhards, for lack of a better phrasing. And I think that's what the Tigers are on the path to doing. We all know there's going to be valleys in this season, so like let's not pretend like there won't be. But at the same time, like they're in a position to where like everything is moving in the direction where you can do the try hard stuff combined with the talent, combined with the smart coaching, and that's a lethal trifecta right there. And I think that's a big reason why, despite like all the worries that we had about this team coming in, like haven't manifested itself because maybe we didn't give enough credit to those three things working in unison. And I actually do think that's kind of beautiful to watch. I think it's one of the most aesthetically pleasing styles of baseball, because again, like you have the first to third, the second to home, and then like the pitching is is obviously outstanding a lot of times. Like it makes me look forward to the game that much more, not because like, oh, we'll see if they can win. It's like they're gonna do the 27 outs thing, play all the 27 outs, and you're gonna get smart managerial and coaching decisions, and you got guys that are stars to superstars / up and comers, and it's hard. Not every team, not every administration like has the patience to try to do that. Tigers have been pretty patient over the last 10 years, as Cody alluded to earlier, maybe too patient at times. But I think it's a lot of things are manifesting itself in this 15-10 start. Another random stat I saw: they've won 10 straight when they score first. It's just like little things like that. You talk about the little things, Austin. Little things like that, getting a lead, and then you're pitching, holding it, and then obviously adding to it offensively. One of our favorite phrases, Cody: everything affects everything.
Yeah, it's the urgency. It's the urgency right away from the first pitch. It's the urgency that I see that they play with. It's just, I don't know. It's watching the game. I'm just like, this team, they're trying to get it. It's almost like they don't care that it's 25 games in. They're not thinking like that. It's like, we are going to put our foot on the gas, and we're not going to let up for 27 outs. And at the end of the game, hey, if we lose this game, the other team is going to be too tired to celebrate. They're like, man, we got to play them again and again, and then a day. I mean, I love that. I love the sense of urgency that they're playing with. Hopefully they can sustain that, throughout a long season. And obviously, you're dealing with injuries, and that's just things that are going to happen in the game of baseball. But I love that they're able to take guys and plug them in different positions. That's that grit. That's that grit I'm talking about. Like, here, take me from catcher and put me in center field. Put me in left. I don't know if that's going to work the whole season, but I mean, that just goes to show you that this team is willing, and not only just like the players are willing to do whatever it takes to win. They want to get back there. You can see it.
Well, doing whatever it takes to win, that's something that, again, we acknowledge that it's generally speaking a cliche, but then when you see like actual examples of it, you have no choice but to acknowledge it. And that's Javier Baez right now, Cody. Javier Baez is a guy that, like, we don't have to go into the history of what's gone on in his Tigers tenure, but no one's ever questioned that he plays hard. No one ever questions that he comes to play damn near every day. That injury that he had last season, that was one of the more shocking things. You just don't see Javi just like not playing, and then, I've always wanted to play center field my whole life. All right, cool. Like, thanks, bro. Like, I'm sure you want to be a starting pitcher your whole life too, like whatever. And now he's your regular center fielder. We've talked about this a little bit, but we had a pretty darn good play from Javier Baez. He earned the Javi nickname on that one, and we're going to play it here. And then we'll get Austin, since that's his old stomping grounds, to give us his reaction right afterward.
Yeah, it was not shabby for a guy who had never really played center field in the major leagues before.
They're all about, pretty similar. High fly ball, deep right center field. Baez going back, still going at the warning track, and Javi Baez can run it down out there.
Dude, I mean, that does not look like a guy who has not been secretly out there taking fly balls in center field on his day off. I mean, listen, like, not only did he make that look like that was just a casual, fly ball over his head, but if you notice that he took a peek, like that's something that you don't see from guys that haven't played that position. They will run full speed, full steam into that wall. But Javi, he took a peek. He's a baseball player. When I played with Javi in 2015, I believe, and at times I was just super amazed at what he was able to do on a baseball field. Like, I've seen him make that over the shoulder catch, playing shortstop before, playing second before. Like, that's easy to him. He makes the game look easy. And at times, he probably is one of the most, if not the most athletic dude on the field. Have you seen what this guy is able to do, slide into a base? Nobody's doing that. Like, this is an athlete right here. This is a baseball player. You put him anywhere on that field, and he's going to make play. He's a playmaker. He needs that. That's what he needs. He needs that excitement. That's what that is what gets him going. When he's able to just use his athleticism, just use his instincts and go out there and make a play. This guy, he doesn't, I don't think that you need to necessarily worry about him. I think he is a guy that could be like a Kiki Hernandez type, and that's not a knock. That's more of a compliment to his athleticism and just the type of baseball player he is. He's able to go out there and make plays look easy. That looked easy to me. That didn't even look challenging. It looked like, give me something else. Next time, hit it out so I can grab it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he did make it look fun still. Like,
Yeah.
just like, like catch it and then kind of like go into the wall, like no big deal, whatever. Because you're right. It's a good point, Austin, to say like he's made that catch middle infield, probably thousands of times in his career. But there was ever like a wall that was like that he was approaching as he made that that play.
That's what you see elite outfielders do, or just guys who've been playing outfield their whole life. We know to take a peek. We know we're coming up on another thing. The balls that are hit really well. So when you take that step back and you start running, and you've been running for a while, and you take that peek, that's something that you see guys that have been playing outfield for a long time. And for him to just step in there and do that, I mean, I'm telling you, this is a baseball player, man. This is like the Tigers. They're lucky to have a guy like that they can say, you know what, at this point in his career, we can move him around, and we're not gonna take this drop off. So.
Yeah, watching plays like that, it's almost like bittersweet for me, because Tigers fans just haven't really got to appreciate the best version of Javi Baez. They haven't seen the best version of Javi Baez that much, let's be honest. But when it's there, man, it's like you said, also, like, it's special. He's a special baseball player. His feel, his acumen for the game is, I think, top 5 in Major League Baseball. But because of his offensive woes and some of the other frustrations, like, he just hasn't really been embraced in Detroit. We've said it before, it's a testament to him for being willing to move around, adapt to a new role at this stage in his career, find ways to help the team win. There's still no real evidence like that the power is still there in his bat. But for him just to be productive, to have fun, to get a little bit of recognition from the fan base, I think has been cool to watch through these first 25 games.
Well, I'll tell you, to have an outfield of Green and left, Javi in center, and then Jahen in right is
not how you drew it up.
Not how you drew it up, but Justyn-Henry Malloy is our FanDuel player spotlight. Pretty sure we've done it before when he first got called up, but I have like a specific reason why I wanted to make him the spotlight. Is that, look, organizations, managers / coaches, whatever, kind of tell you what they think of players with their actions, and they had been avoiding playing Justyn-Henry Malloy in the field all that much. He actually, make sure I have this correct, for all the talk of him like learning first base, Cody hasn't played a single inning of first base. Especially Torkelson, obviously a big part of that, for the record. But Tuesday, for the first time, we saw Justyn-Henry Malloy start a game and complete a game when starting in the field. First
The
time.
6-0 lead helps.
Yeah, well, that is fair, but like he also had a home run. Like
Yeah.
it was good to see because I want to see him get some run, just because I want to know. Like I'm not behind the scenes. I want to know if this is a viable option for the team in general, especially if that bat develops into what it potentially could be, a valuable asset to the team. So Justyn-Henry Malloy is our FanDuel player spotlight. You can go to FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. Enjoy a 30-day extended free trial with code baseball30. We're getting to we don't know how much longer this is going to do. So like the Tigers are, a lot of fun to watch. You got to go to FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. Use code baseball30 for an extended free trial. So
I was just glad to see Jay-Hen hit the ball, Kieran. Like I think that people know, like I'm a big proponent and like fan of his, but to get the best version of Jay-Hen, to even start the conversation of, oh, how often can we play him in the field? He's got to be the best version of himself at the plate. We know the discipline at bats. I think early on had a couple calls go against him. I think he started coming out of his approach a little bit. Ran into a hanging slider, crushed it like a good hitter should. Had a big double down the line that brought in a run. Like I think those things just to spark him a little bit. AJ Hinch had talked about he pinch hit him over Andy Ibanez a couple times, just kind of an effort to get Jay Hin going. And there are a couple guys who are going to be back from the injured list eventually. Matt Vierling, hopefully sometime in May. A little less clear what the timeline is like for Manuel Margot, but that could be a decision point. These guys are both right-handed hitting outfielders. For Jay-Hen to stay on the roster and be that top of the order guy he can be, he's got to hit the baseball. And so good to see him do that for the first time in a minute. He was, I think, 2 for 20 before his home run.
The week he makes my wife's list, he starts hitting. So just for the record,
I'd like to see him, have an approach of maybe staying up the middle to right center a little bit, letting that ball travel, see the ball a little long, because he has the hands to be able to do that. I think sometimes he gets a little pull happy, which it's in this day and age of baseball, it's the home run is very valuable. But I think for him, staying up the middle and right center, I think that allows that ball to travel and his bat to stay in the zone a lot longer, and for him to see the ball a lot longer. Because I've seen he hit a double down the line. Was it down the right field line?
Right field line. Yep.
Right field, that was beautiful. That those are the type of swings that get you locked in. And then, like you said, you hanging slider, you do what you're supposed to with it. Some of the best hit. I always use Miguel Cabrera because for how big he was and his power, to see the way that he was able to let the ball travel and hit the ball to the opposite field, that's the sign of a good hitter. You can't get a guy out like that's able to take a pitch middle in and drive it to right center. And he has enough power to be able to hit that right center field gap. So, I think that would be something that, he would have to buy into. And then from a defensive standpoint, just kind of easing him in and letting him feel comfortable, because, if he wants to stay on this roster, he's going to have to be able to, hit, but also he needs to be able to play some defense, and they need to be able to rely on him out there and not be a liability if he wants to stay on the roster.
That's very well put, Austin. I'd like to see more of that too. The reason he's going to be playing in the field, and I want to spend a couple minutes on this because we got Austin here, we got to get his expertise, is that, tightness is the best way to put it, Cody, with Kerry Carpenter's hamstring. Is that what we're like officially
soreness, tightness? Is there a difference?
I don't know. Maybe there is, but like he's going to be, obviously he avoided an IL stint, but he's not going to be playing every day, and when he does play, he's going to be DHing. So I asked you, Austin, if you have tight, sore, whatever kind of word you want to use, not pulled, hamstring. What is, how much of a thing is that in the box / like, running around the bases or whatever? Like, what kind of extra prep are you doing to keep it keep it good? Like, we just try to explain as best you, based on your experience, what kind of Kerry Carpenter's going through with a tight or sore front leg hamstring. It's his right hamstring, so front leg hamstring at the plate.
I mean, it affects everything. I had a pulled or a tight quad, my lead leg, in 2017. And you don't realize how much that front leg, how much it's absorbing that force. That's stopping everything. So when you have an element like that, it's tough. And then you start compensating, is what I did. And you lose some power. You lose power. But the thing that you have to almost reinvent your swing a little bit. You have to start shortening up. You can't take the power swing that you once had when your legs felt good. A big thing for me was keeping, it wrapped and keeping compression on it and making sure I was getting all my work each and every day. Sometimes even during the game, I would have to go get a stretch or get kind of like a rub to make sure that the tightness was out of there. But it affects everything. It affects your swing. It affects the way you're able to get out of the box. It affects the first step. It affects everything. So it is tough. It's not something that you can't play with. I was obviously able to play with it, but it affected me more mentally because I was thinking about it. I was thinking about, certain pitches that were thrown that I could normally turn on and I would miss them. So mentally that it was a hurdle trying to get over that. But once I realized, okay, I just have to change up my approach a little bit. I have to really stay short with my mechanics. I have to be really quiet with my legs, obviously, because I'm hurt. So I mean, you're dealing with it, but in your brain, you're like, man, I can't get on it like I used to. So you're having to change your approach a little bit. But from off the field, as far as making sure you have the proper wraps for it, you're getting the proper things in the training room before. Those are all things that'll keep you going, and eventually you'll start to come out of it. Because you have some of the best trainers in the world, so they're helping you through it. But it is tough because it wears on you a little bit mentally when you know that you're not your 100% self out there.
No, I mean that's equal parts worrisome and optimistic that he can pull through it and hopefully maintain a level of consistency at the plate. I will say, just like eye test, Cody and I had already talked about it, but eye test, it didn't look like anything different at the plate. I'm sure he was feeling different, but he was still putting in the same kind of hacks and all that stuff. So that was one of the more encouraging signs when he in addition obviously to not being on the IL. So whew, man, that was a lot. That was fun. Man, I could do this for hours. Like time constraints, schedules, families. What are they doing? Why can't we just do this 24/7? But I want to encourage you all to follow us on X at Tiger Territory _ at Cody Stavenhagen at Kieran _Steckley. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube and Apple and Spotify. 5-star review if you feel so inclined. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. You guys know the drill. Want to thank Austin and Cody for making the time to do this fun podcast, because I look forward to it every time. It's a lot of fun. Hope you guys can see that on YouTube and Apple and Spotify if you subscribe. All right, so we're Austin Jackson, Cody Stavenhagen. I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.